this is what I found on a salt pan, and it was buried in the salt on the salt pan, and it was buried deep. But I couldn't find the other jaw part, the
lower
bone.
jaw.
Yeah.
So tell me, what did you do when you found it?
I grabbed it out and I needed to wash it in the sea, but its teeth are right now quite wobbly, so you can pull them out. But this one's still quite stuck, but it's still wobbly.
Wobbly tooth. Oh.
And also, at the salt pan, it's like the salt is very warm underneath, where it's...
Yeah, so it's like there's a puddle of water, and then it looks like, I can just stand here, then you won't sink. It looks like ice, then you step.
And it just starts, like, the thing just starts going down like that.
And
then it just snaps, and it's like hot water.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I've ran across without sinking.
Yeah, that's with thick ones. And
where was that?
At the salt pan.
I was at the salt pan where they they make a hard little swimming pool thingy, and then they fill it up with salt water, and then they let it all dissolve, and then the salt gets
Evaporate.
and then it just evaporates, and then it leaves the salt on the
ground.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Now, what else have you got in your treasure bag?
I've also got something in my treasure bag.
Have you?
Yeah.
Do you want to?
This is a Bushman's piano.
Oh wow!
What we got from a shop which is in Namibia.
Can you play a tune?
No, I don't know anything yet. That
Well, just
make
play.
quite nice
Just
little
play.
sound. Wait.
piano.
Oh, play it. Put it here so we can see it.
And that's what it is. And then on the back I carved a E for
Did you do that?
Ethan.
And for Levi.
Oh, for Levi.
That's
You're
what I
a
made
clever
for
boy.
Levi.
You're very clever. So pretend you are a bushman singing a bushman song. Okay, what else have you got in your treasure bag?
This. In here we got a bunch of stones which we got from Scratch Patch in the country. And also a very nice crystal stone that I bought.
Okay.
These are all, and I've got even irons. These are made of iron. And these are blue ones. There are blue ones.
My thumb stuck.
And then snowflakies. And I call these frost balls. And then this was my favorite one.
It's beautiful.
And I've got 2 of the frost balls. And this used to be a type of crystal, but they smoothened it. A yellow type of crystal, which is in the place. And also in the place there's like a long tunnel which has like big cave parts with giant crystals sticking out. and then it's like showing how they would usually find crystals.
Was that in the museum?
No, that was in the stone place. And we saw the biggest crystal on display, crystal stone. The small crystals are about this big on it, but then the big ones can get up to about this big. Yeah.
And tell me about the biggest crystal in the world.
That one they didn't have there, but I saw it in the Guinness book. It's probably bigger than the house.
Oh, but the
there's
biggest
tons.
one in Namibia.
Oh, that's the biggest crystal stone on display. It's the biggest crystals are about this big on it, but half of it is like deep inside.
Oh.
And then I've got more of these. These are pink ones which we found.
And also, this is how long it took them to get out all the dirt. 5 years.
Yeah, it took 5 years for them to take it out. Took us stones.
But not the scratch patch one.
Yeah, go and get your scratch patches. Have a look. They're in Dad's mom and Dad's car seat.
Course.
Yeah, they're on the seat. The
We
stones.
hid
Go,
our
have a look.
we hid our stones so we could drive through with them.
Well, we didn't really.
Yeah.
But also in the thing, they used different types of stones and then put them together, and then it made a color of a parrot. And it was about this big, and it was all the colors of a parrot. And then they also had one which was
Jaden told me about that parrot. It must have been very
and there
good.
was also I think it was a cockatoo which was all sorts of colors.
You did tell me last night.
And then also they had these big stones about this big. On the outside it's just a black stone, but on the inside it's loads of purple little crystals and then white crystals all sticking out.
I saw them. They're all.
They're in the little cup holder. Go and look in the cup holder. They're there. In the car, Levi. And then also in the thing they also made like very funny little like wristband things, but they had like a diamond this big on it, a fake one. In the stone place there was a big stone that had loads of crystals like this. It was about this big, the stone, but then each crystal was about this big, and they were all yellow.
So that was a
And
color
also
that
in Namibia, the stones that they found, those yellow crystals and purple crystals,
Yeah.
there were tons of those stones, but only certain ones have
Yeah.
them.
When we're driving back, there was tons of them this big, just piled up. But only some of them got it.
Did you find it? Good. Now you tell me about yours.
My stuff is stuck. I thought take one corner.
Let me help you.
One.
There's Ollie on the stones.
Oh, beautiful.
And look at this one.
Mom and Dad helped him go to stones. But he swapped one of the stones with this nice one.
Yeah.
This one that it's so found.
Which is your favorite, Levi?
This one.
That's green.
He wanted it. He was like, "Do you like this one?" And I was like, "No, I've got enough stones." And then he liked it, so he held it in his hand.
And walked out of the shop by mistake. He didn't put it in his bag, but his bag wasn't full enough, so...
Did they give you bags?
They
Are
gave
these
us
the
bags like the... No, not these
This
bags.
is a
'cause then you would have
cool
fallen
one.
into the top. My mom made these.
Mom
The bags were just about this big. It was the
Did
the
she
scratch
sew them
patch
by
here?
hand?
Yeah.
That's clever.
But you know the scratch patch down there?
Yes.
Those the same size bags as those.
Oh, right.
I
But
switched
these-
mine in so it's half overflowing.
Tell me,
Once
Levi.
me and Matt stole because our bag was like overflown. It was. We were holding it up because it was like going out of the bag.
I would have done
This
this.
has
So I'll hold part of the bag and then
wristbands.
make more of a bag like this. So it's like a double
And this has
Levi's too.
brown inside.
Yes.
And this has crystal inside. No, I already done that. That's this. This. And this has glowing inside.
Yes.
This has grey. And this has skin color inside. And this has blonde inside.
No, Levi.
Galaxy inside.
Wow.
These are galaxies.
Oh, and also, when you were there, we saw a malachite kingfisher and a pied kingfisher. And Jaden, he spotted a pygmy kingfisher. It's one of the rarest kingfishers there is.
It is the
well
rarest.
done.
No, it's one of them.
And
The
this
brown-headed
has a
kingfisher's the
warp
same way.
inside. But isn't
Yes. That's very beautiful.
And
the Cape Canary is really oops. The canary.
So, at the place, we saw sperming geese.
This is
And
this is
also, we saw a great heron and lots of other things.
nice.
We spotted 99 birds, different types of birds.
99.
We might have actually seen about 150, but we just couldn't figure out which one they were, so we couldn't tick them off.
White. Is it just white stone?
Oh, and also when you're there, we saw a weaver nest, but it was gigantica, so they're like, it's a sociable weaver nest, but
Sociable.
they're like maybe about this big. They maybe about 4 square meters big, or even 8.
Wow.
They are enormous, and when you're there, we did a pygmy falcon call. It's a rare falcon, and it's one of them. And it lives in the sociable weaver nest. That's what they do. So the sociable weavers border them a home, but then they protect the sociable weavers from other
Lizards.
So, and then we called them, and then the pygmy falcon came right by my face and then just grabbed some of my hair. Also, that night, we saw a rhino at the waterhole because that was at Etosha. And then lions came and then chased the rhino away.
What was that, Jake?
And also, the rhino was a black rhino.
Yes.
White.
What's the difference between a black and a white?
Black has a pointy face and white has flat face. Look this. Like it's a light. Look and a black and
Oh, that's very funny, boys.
also our first campsite, which was the Orange River. That was also our last campsite. So we went to the Orange River. That was the time when Jane spotted the pygmy kingfisher. And then we came back and then we saw malachite kingfishers and more pied kingfishers.
And where were they?
They were all flying around on the river. But I saw a pied kingfisher and a malachite kingfisher. A few malachite kingfishers catch fish and lots of pied kingfisher catch fish. Because the pied kingfishers are the most common, and also the malachite are very common. But the pied kingfisher is about this big, and then the malachite one is about this big.
You saw Jaden?
We saw
A spotted eagle owl. It's the biggest owl there is.
Have you ever seen that at Kirstenbosch?
No.
How much look me? Maybe they did. Yes, did they fall down here?
Also, when we were there, we saw a lilac-breasted roller. It's a very happy bird. It's really common. We saw lots of those.
Do you see that up there? That's a lilac-breasted roller.
We saw a lilac-breasted roller. Doesn't look like one. Does it look like
Well, maybe it's a bit faded.
The forktail? No, not that. Maybe it is.
I think it was the forktail eater. Not the forktail dog.
Okay, now tell me about the day with the elephants.
Oh, when we were there, at the Olifantsrus, that's another campsite in Etosha. There's a really nice waterhole. It's a double story. There's a double story hide, and then there was 20 elephants or 29 or something in between about there. And then all of the elephants just came to drink, and then they were just drinking. Then we went to the top. The top is like all open because it's too high for anything. Unless the elephants reach their trunk, then they might be able to get to the top. And the lower place has glass. And then we went down to the lower place, but the water level is about here. So if you would be standing like this, the water level is about here. So then the elephants saw us coming, and then they all just started shrieking and just trumpeting about. And then they ran away, and then they slowly started walking away. So we scared a whole herd of 29 something elephants away. That was quite cool. So we scared a ton of elephants away.
Were there lots of people watching the elephants? No?
Yeah. But also, when we were driving our car, we saw another elephant. And once an elephant even started charging at us. It was a grumpy one. And
Tell me more about that.
so the elephant just started charging, and then we went that way to go and have a look. Then it started charging down the road, and then we were racing away, reversing. But Levi was screaming and crying about it. And Caleb was getting a bit nervous. He was like, and then all of us were just watching the elephant. But Dad wasn't happy with it. And then we kept on reversing away, and then eventually he just turned and went into the bushes. But also when an elephant on its own went to drink by the waterhole, a whole pride of lions around. But then the elephants scared all the lions away. There was about maybe 10 lions. Then the elephants scared them away. There was a big elephant. It was like giant. It's It was like maybe 3 meters tall, or even maybe 4. It was an old elephant, and then at Olifantsrus there was an elephant which was living nearby, because we saw it 3 times in a row without seeing any other elephants, and it was the same one because we could tell by that each time it had a broken tusk and it was on the right hand side. At another place we climbed up to the top of the second biggest sand dune in the world.
Right. And tell me about that. When you got to the top, what did you do?
We slid down. The sand dune was called Big Daddy. But then we slid down. So we were climbing with our slip-slops. And then on the way down, we put our slip-slops on our hand and then just pushed with our feet, and then our hands were like skimming down. So we were like just pushing with our hands like this, and then we were just pushing and pushing, and then we were just like shooting down the hill. And then at another campsite, we went sandboarding, and then this wasn't too nice of Caleb. What happened with Caleb, because there was a high level and then a ditch, and then it goes like that kind of, and then Caleb was just going downhill. He did go too high for him, and then he was racing down the hill, and then he started turning down there, but then his thing dumped into the sand, and then he just went flying, and then he got his face in the sand. But I was shooting down, sitting from the top of the sand dunes like this, and then, but when you're sitting, the board does this a lot, and then the board did a full spin like that, and then I kept on going, and then I got sand in my eyes, but I kept on going afterwards. The board, this was on the same one, the board started spinning, and then it tipped, and then it rolled over, and then my face went in the sand, then it came back up, and then I kept on going. It was so strange. And then also when you so the slowest is standing, but we couldn't really do that. Then it is sitting like this.
Was there someone who teaches you?
No, we just bought sandboards.
Okay.
And then we got something like, and then you lie. But the reason why we bought them is because you can pay 400 Rand for the one exactly the same as what we did, or you can buy them and then have them for as long as you want, but then it's only like 15 Rand. And then lying is the fastest, and you can get up to going to 70 miles an hour. And then I went from the tip top, and then it's quite hard to hold up the front, and then I was going down like this, and then I just suddenly, it slipped out of my hands, then the thing just suddenly went into the ground, then it like dumped me into the sand. But
and is the sand soft, or is it like falling on the ground?
It's really soft.
Okay.
Then he went really fast when he was lying, and then he was like bouncing on all the footprints, and then he was like, when he's going down the steep hill, this also happened with me, but I went from a higher place, and then the sand just starts flinging up from the footprint steps, but then afterwards, luckily we brought our goggles. I said, let's bring our goggles. Then Dad said, no, we're not going to use them. But then we actually did use them the whole time, because we got. Now I wish that I had taken my riding glasses, because the goggles fog up quickly, but not the riding glasses won't.
Okay.
But Dad and Jaden didn't, because they were doing something different to what I was doing. I was like going down steep hills and over all the bumpy steps things, but they were just going down the slope hills from.
And Mum, what was she doing?
She was watching them and helping, and she went with Levi, but she didn't really. She did it twice with Levi, and then she went from the top of the smaller sand dune on her own, without Levi. But yeah, and then when Caleb went the times before on the steep one, then he was also doing the bumpy thing like what happened with Levi. And Jaden, when he went down, he didn't wear goggles, but on his first time on the steep one, he by mistake went bumpy, really bumpy, and then he got the front of the board in, and then his face went into the sand. But it's actually, if you go down a very steep hill, but you just get down and lie on the board, you'll go slowly. But if you go down a hill just like that, but then you go and then you run and then jump on the board, then you'll go actually a lot faster. Because the way to do it is you must get a good stop. Or if you're sitting, you can do this and then push with your feet. But if you're lying, usually you'll do this. So you'll hold up the front and then put your legs on the sides, then start pushing. But then the standing, this is what I'd usually do. But usually I would like hold up the front. Well, I would like run and then jump on it and then grab the front and then start going. But that didn't really work. I was the first one to do the standing, then Jaden. And then but Jaden did it higher, but then I did it from the tip top. But usually when you stand, I go like this. Because I can't stand like that, because then I'll be like holding the thing up like that.
Tell me about the fat tires.
So we saw these fat bikes on this side. So we had a look at this like magazine thingy. Well, yeah, and then there was this fat biking thing. And then my dad asked me if I want to do it, and then I said yeah. And then you hire a bike. The wheels are about this fat, and then you go cycling for about maybe 10 kilometers on the road. Then you go onto the sand, and then you cycle over the sand dunes to the big ones, and then you cycle up, then go down. But the steepest one was about that steep, and Dad's first try, if you get your wheel a bit spun, then you tip over, and then he was going down, but he went a bit skew, so he was like going like this, and then his wheel tipped, and then he like came like this, and then tipped like that, and then.
Was he going fast?
You just need about maybe a meter run up. But you don't go that fast. You're only going about this fast when you get to the sand dune. But then when you're going down, you may be going at 30 miles an hour. Or maybe 50 kilometers an hour. So you're going pretty fast. It's really fun. And then when you go down, you're like racing down, and then it goes like, and then it goes up a hill. So then you want to try and go down and then pedal while you're going up. So then you don't like have to like get off your bike and push up, or else, because if you're going too slowly you won't make it up. And you'll usually try and stay on where it's very sharp, because or else then you'll get stuck in the sand lower down there, because it's harder at the top than down near the bottom. And when you're showing how the guide was showing how the sand dunes form and all that, I just spotted something. It looks like a worm, just like wriggling about. It was actually a snake, but it actually just moves like this. It's so weird. And then the snake, it was a puff adder. It was a little one. It was about this big, but it buries itself with its head in, and then just sticks its tail up. And then little insects bite the tail because they think it's a blade of grass, and then it bites them. So then it gets a little meal. And then we saw it even bury itself, but it was just sticking its head out just to make sure that we weren't going to do anything. But when I saw it, I thought it was just a little worm. But, yeah. And
Then did he tell you?
he told about the snake.
Mm.
He told us when we were watching it.
Mhm.
He rode with us. So, but
Okay.
this is how the sand dunes formed. So it actually comes all from the Orange River. So the sand. Then there's like a big current. I can't remember what its name is. But then the Orange River takes out the sand, and then the current pushes it onto the beach, and then when the wind blows, it blows the sand from the beach to the desert, and then when it gets, there's like this purplish color sometimes on the sand dunes, and then that's from when there's iron ore that gets crushed into teeny bits, and then and we also recycled on across a river, but it was actually dried up. So that was quite cool. But this was something very creepy. I'd done this, so there's like a hill, and then it goes flat, and then there's a very steep hill, and then I'd gone down slowly. And at first I thought it was a drop off, like a drop, but then I saw, but it was just a very steep hill, but that was from the top of the hill where I saw what? The skull like this, but it had the bottom jaw. But he said you're not allowed to take the skulls because then the other people who come cycling on the route won't be able to have a look at it and see it. But the skull, it didn't have any other skeleton with it. It was just the skull. But also, the sand dunes were very hard to ride on. Your bike keeps on slipping, and we rode about maybe 5 kilometers on the sand dunes.